Don Juan? Dustin's lips twitched in disbelief. What was going on? Why did he get labeled as a playboy just for applying some medication to his patient? Ms. Harmon, there's a misunderstanding here. He's in fact applying the medication to my injuries. Dahlia could not suppress a tiny smile at the jealousy on Natasha's face. Well, if you don't trust my words, there's nothing I can do about it. Then, she slowly put on her clothes with a taunting look in her eyes. Me. I need some medication too. Natasha sat down beside Dustin and started unbuttoning her clothes. Hey, what are you doing? Shocked, he immediately stopped her. She gave him a look of displeasure. What? You can apply medication for her, but not for me? That's because you're not hurt. Dustin was helpless in the face of the young lady from a wealthy family who was acting like a child. Who said so? I am hurt in the heart, and it's much worse than what she's going through. Just touch it, and you'll know. A defiant Natasha puffed her chest, inviting him to touch it. Dustin, I feel some pain in the back. Can you apply more medication to it? Dahlia did not back down and took off her top once more. However, Dustin was suffering from a raging headache in the face of the two difficult beauties. They had always been passive-aggressive with each other every time they crossed paths, and it was tough to pacify them. Caitlin, help them out. I'll get lunch ready. His eyes lit up at the sight of his trusty assistant, and he grabbed the groceries from her hands and slid into the kitchen. One way of avoiding trouble was by escaping the scene. The women glared at each other and put on their clothes, finally putting the animosity to a temporary rest. After a busy time in the kitchen, he served everyone a sumptuous lunch. It was a 4-course dish with soup that smelled good and tasted equally great. Dear, have some grilled ribs. Look at you lost some weight. Smiling, Natasha placed a piece of rib on his plate. He cautiously thanked her and quickly stuffed it into his mouth with a smile. What's good about ribs? You should try some chicken Alfredo. I know you like this the best. Dahlia, not backing down, placed the chicken on his plate. Grilled ribs are better, in my opinion. They're succulent and chewy at the same time. Great texture. While speaking, Natasha put a second piece of rib on Dustin's plate. To each his own. Dustin never gets tired of chicken Alfredo. You can't compare it to ribs. Dahlia flashed a faint smile and piled a piece of chicken on the growing hill of food on Dustin's plate. Ribs are better. The chicken Alfredo is nicer. Ribs. Chicken. The women kept piling food on his plate while squabbling with barely concealed hostility. Soon, the lunch he prepared was gone, all going into his plate that was overflowing with food. He did not know where to get started. Meanwhile, Caitlin stared at the fight before her helplessly. She wanted to take her share of the meat, but she lost the chance to do so. Dustin, my darling, is the chicken or rib better? After the fight, the women turned their sharp gazes onto him and directed the question to him. The scene was like déjà vu, but this time, it was more frightening. They're both great. He flashed a bitter smile and answered. No. You can only pick one. They glared at him with a threatening air.